Okay, so on the crankcases, I've been doing a little bit of measuring up. Looks like I'm probably going to need new camshaft bushers, possibly a new camshaft because that was in a little bit of a state, but I'll see what it's like cleaned up. There's a little bit of rust in the, because you've got two bushers here, one each side. The bit that's in the middle, there's a little bit of corrosion on it, so I might need to see if I can clean that up a bit. Yeah, so these are, I can't remember the measurements. I'll put all the measurements up on the screen, but yeah. So these are the right hand side. Yeah, right hand side bushers. And I've also measured the timing bush. But I haven't compared that against the correct measurement yet, so I'm not sure about that one. Timing gear, rather, idler gear. Now the timing bush is almost certainly needs replacing, and the left hand bush in here is almost certainly worn, so I'm probably going to need a new one of that, which I believe you need a special tool just to pull this out. And I'll see a new one's going to need reaming as well, so that's all going to be stuff to do. New main bearing as well I will need. What else was I going to say? Oh yes, when I took the camshaft out, and I've had a good look round, I cannot find it anywhere, so I can only assume it wasn't in there. And that is the timing, the breather. You've got the fixed one in there. Let's see that. But the rotating one, which goes in on the end of the camshaft, wasn't there. I'm sure it wasn't. And the spring is also missing. I've checked through my disassembly videos and I can't see it dropped out or anything like that. I can't find it anywhere. So I'm pretty sure that must have been missing. So quite how this ran very well, I'm not too sure. must have been a bit weird. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, the crank. Obviously, I already mentioned that this journal is got this horrible lip here, and that is well below spec, so that would have needed a regrind. But I have managed to get, as you can see, another crank which has got a good journal on it. So I've measured that, that's fine. The big ends are undersized, they're 10 thou under, so I just need to get new shells for that. And the one telling factor as to wear on here, why that one is worn a lot more than that one, is, I would guess, how many times that sludge trap has been off and cleaned, as you can see by all the punch marks around there. So I probably will take that off again just to check, although I think it probably is clean. So there's going to be another set of punch marks in there. Yeah, so that one, loads of punch marks, nowhere on the journal. This one, 2 punch marks, which I'm going to guess are from the factory, loads of wear on the journal. So I suspect that sludge trap in there is pretty mucky. I might have a get that out and have a look, just for interest. You would not believe how hard that was to get that out of there. And I thought they had supposed to have a fibre washer on there, but this has got an O-ring on the inside. So I'm not sure whether that's even the right one, but look at the state of it. That is completely gummed up. I'm not sure even, where's the spring gone? Yeah, that's the other part that screws in there. And that's the spring. I thought there was supposed to be a ball in there, but I can't see one. So yeah, I'll give it a good clean up and have another look at it, but yeah, I'm not sure that's even the right one, and if it is, I think the ball is missing, which is a little bit odd. Yeah, I had to really heat that up to heat the casing up to get that out, and have to use a breaker bar. That was really tight, but that's out now, so I'll give it a little clean up, and yeah, that's got no ring in it as well. Yeah, I'll have to check if that is actually the right one, and that was really mangled up anyway. Yeah, so I might need a new one of those. Oh, I did actually manage to get the plug out of the old one. Yeah, that is really mucky in there. Let's find a screwdriver. One. Yeah, look, that's just completely full of sludge. And that's just the tube bit. See right down there, hopefully. Yeah, a little bit knock the actual tube out of there. And have a look at the rest of it. I don't know, but yeah, you can see that's not very good. Yeah, so you can see that is only, well, never been out there, I wouldn't have thought. Like I say, there were only two centre punch marks, one each side, so I'm going to guess they were, well, they'd put one or two in the factory, so it's only, the most that's been done is once anyway, so yeah, that might explain a lot. Got to try and get the other one out of the other one now, which has been out several times, but yeah, we'll have to see how that one goes, because the plug is a bit more chewed up, so but we'll have a look. Well, compared to the other one, which came out fairly easily, this has been a right pig. I've had to get the biggest screw extractor I can. I've had to drill out every hole around the edge. I've had impact gun in there, impact screwdriver, would not shift it. In the end I had to drill it out, or drill a hole down the middle, and get this rather large screw extractor in there. So I've got a bit of tidying up to do to make that look, well, I don't want to make it look pretty anymore, but that was a nightmare. So I think what I'm going to have to do because it is really raggedy around the edge. Gonna have to try and get this on this tripod. Gonna have to try and neaten up all around the edge here somehow. Probably just gonna have to hand file it, so there's going to be a little bit of a chamfer in there. That had been hammered over so many times. It was just almost impossible. And well, it's not that mucky in there, but there is a bit. There is a little bit of muck. Yeah, whether I'll be able to get the tube out. The other one I couldn't get the tube out at all, but I'm not too worried about that. I really do want to try and get this one out there. Yeah, so that's probably been the best part of, I don't know, an hour, maybe more, hour and a half. Just trying to get that crappy plug out. What a daft idea, BSA. What were you thinking? That's how, anyway, just got a load of tidying up to do because that thread is just too jagged around the edges. And I'm going to need a fairly good surface to get another centre punch mark in. Right, further to this crank, this troublesome crank, or troublesome getting the plug out. That was so mullered around there by previous punches and what have you. I have just gone in with a bit of a countersink to try and clean that up a bit, reduce any likelihood of stress fractures starting. I could have done with a slightly bigger countersink bit, but that's what it had, so that's that. And the other thing is, obviously, once the plug go in, this isn't the one that came out there, this is the one that's actually off the other crank, which came out much easier and only had a couple of punch marks in it. So I can get a punch mark in. I've actually, let's see that, put a chamfer on that as well, so once that goes in, if I can get it started. Come on. Went in easy a minute ago. So once that goes in, I do need to get a better screwdriver to put that in, but I won't tighten it right down, but so I can actually get a punch mark in there to lock that off. I'm not quite sure why you can't just use Loctite, because the bolt that goes in, well, goes in there. Put it down a bit. The bolt that goes in there is Loctited in, so I can't understand why this has to be punched and not also Loctited. But there we are, that's how it is. So yeah, I've yet to get the sludge trap out of here. I'm waiting for a 5/8 tap. That's apparently what you need, is to put a tap down in there, and you should be able to then extract the tube. So yeah, once that turns up, I should be able to get a little bit further with it. It's easier to put this in with a screwdriver, I think. Don't cross thread it, whatever you do. Alright. Yeah, so once that turns up, I should be able to get a little bit more done. Yeah, there's a pit that was so many punch marks around there, really would be a better idea, rather than punching along the seam, to actually just punch maybe in the slot. Because all you try to do is deform the thread so it doesn't move. So you don't really need to do anything in the crank half, you just need to do it in the plug. So if the plug gets mullered, it doesn't really matter, you can get a new one. But yeah, why they put it right on the seam, I don't know. And there we are, it's a bit too late for this crank now. Just have to hope that it doesn't come undone, which yeah, well, would be disastrous, wouldn't it? But there we are. Right, a couple of things you can see by the amount of aluminium swarf there. I've been on the lathe. Just turned this up, and that is so I can press the bush out. Obviously got to heat that up first, and hopefully I can use it to press the new one in, although I shouldn't really take a lot if I can get the casing hot enough. So that's all ready to go. And the other thing is sludge trap. Now got a 5/8 UNC tap, which apparently is the thing you need to get these out. So I'm now going to have a go at extracting that. That will either pull it out with that, or get a bolt in there and use that to get it out. But yeah, I'll have a go at screwing it out first with that, or pulling it out, and see how far we get. Doesn't need much apparently, according to the forums, just enough to get a grip. Few threads in. With any luck, it will start to turn it. Once it turns, I think we might have success. Right, there we are. Well, that came out quite a bit easier than I thought. Yeah, I wonder what we've got down here. Yeah, quite a bit looks of it. Yeah, it's a bit on the side there, so that will clean out okay. Not too bad. Not as bad as I thought that might be anyway. So yeah, that actually worked quite well, getting that out. So that was a 5/8 11 UNC and a taper tap. Apparently you don't want a bottoming tap or anything like that. It needs to be a taper tap to get a start. So we'll have a little clean up, and one step closer. Okay, spot the difference. Timing slot, no timing slot. This is supposed to be a 1966 crank, and this is a 67, which it is. This is the one that came out. This is the one I got to replace it. However, I was sold this as a 1966, but it's not. It's a 65 or before. It's a narrower crank, which would have had a ball bearing on the drive side, as opposed to a roller bearing on this one. But I've been doing a little bit of research, and apparently you can fit the later crank, the earlier narrow crank into the later crankcases, but not the other way round. So the only thing that might require is a little bit of shimming to make sure it's central, because these were not meant to have a one of these on, one of these shims. They went direct on the bearing surface, the timing side bearing surface, and the late ones had the had this. So once I get the new bearing installed, there might be a little bit of jiggery pokery to get this central. So just one other little thing to deal with. Never straightforward, is it? New timing side bearing is fitted. This is the old one which came out, which as you can see is a steel housed one, whereas that one is a solid phosphor bronze. Yeah, this was a little bit of a bugger to get out, even with heating it up. I'm glad that I had this just to help press it out. Once it started, it was fine, kind of easy, but obviously it needed a little bit of a push just to get it going. So that came out. That one just dropped in. Again, heated the as I did with taking the old one out, heated the case up, but because I had this in the freezer for a couple of days, and yeah, just dropped straight in, lovely. And I was sort of interested just to see how much that closed up, so I measured it before it went in, and it was bang on 1.5 inches. Yeah, so it closed up about 1 thou, which I thought would have been a bit more than that, but there we are. So that means I previously measured this. It's going to be at maximum clearance. So, well, I suppose in one way it does mean I won't have to take anything out of here. But the other thing it does mean is I just hope it's aligned. Obviously, when you fit a new bush, I probably should have got the next size up and took it down, but yeah, when you put a new bush in, you're supposed to put the case halves together, make sure it's all aligned, and then take out whatever you need to take out with it all aligned, which would have been a little bit tricky to do anyway. I possibly could have done it on the mill, lined it up. If I took all this off, probably would have had enough clearance just to get it in, and set this up this way round on the mill table, and then just board whatever needed. But I'm not going to do that now, so hopefully it will have been machined right in the first place, and in line, but I won't really know that till I come to put it together. If it turns freely, it probably means it's okay. If it doesn't, well, back to the drawing board. I might have to knock that one out and get an oversized one. Yeah, so what next? What next is there's a new bearing to go in there. I've got just got to press the old one out. So got the bearing to go in there. Then I'll try the crank, see how it fits, and also gonna have to do the shimming up, check this is central as well, because obviously we change things around here. I've got, well, not here, but this is a narrow crank, so yeah, which wouldn't normally have the thrust washer on there, and would normally have a roller this side. So yeah, I think what we'll do is probably finish this video for now, and come back to it at a later stage, because I'm sort of halfway through doing the frame, doing the swing arm conversion. So I think the next video on the BSA will be a swing arm conversion, converting that to needle roller rather than the rubber, what they call silent block. Rather than the rubber silent block bushes, I'm going to put roller bearings in there. So I think I'll do that as the next video, and then come back to this, rather than try and squeeze too much into one video. Yeah, so I think that is probably about it for this one.